What's up, guys? How about you in the video? Today, guys, we're going to be discussing a few things today about the Cincinnati Bengals. I feel like people are sleeping on them like they did the year we went to the Super Bowl. There have been a series of patterns that have been noticed by people who actually pay attention to the Bengals and by Joe Burrow himself. The preseason of the 2021-22 season. So, and that was the year we went to the Super Bowl. That was when we picked up Trey Hendrickson. We picked up a bunch of other defensive guys that can take care of people in the backfield and that they take care of the defense. And that was a year we actually came off of a pretty bad season. We struggled that season. Joe Burrow's rookie season, I mean, you don't expect much out of rookies usually, especially in quarterbacks. You don't really expect a lot of rookies and quarterbacks, especially when they first join the league. But as Joe Burrow, came onto his second year, he completely dominated. So the patterns that I am seeing right now with the Cincinnati Bengals is that we have seen right now we have two preseason wins. The year we went to the Super Bowl, we won two preseason games. And when we going to the Super Bowl on the offseason, we picked up a bunch of defensive guys. That's what we did this year. We picked up a bunch of defensive guys. They went out. We got Dexter Lawrence back in April. We got Trey. We lost Trey Hendrickson, but we got Dexter Lawrence back in April. We got guys like Boye Mafe that we picked up from Seattle that just came from a Super Bowl win. We just picked up Landon Robinson. I'm liking him. He was dominating yesterday's preseason game against the Chicago Bears. He was very dominant, and they're saying that he's projected to make the 53-man roster. And he's one of the best 6 defenders I've seen out there. He's pretty great. We re-signed Orlando Brown Jr. I just don't know how I feel about that yet. But what we have seen out of the Cincinnati Bengals has been nothing but signing talent. And that is not, I'm not saying that very lightly either. Because if you're picking up a guy, especially like Boye Mafe, which signed with the Bengals because he wants to bring championship and the Super Bowl to Cincinnati. Boye Mafe was very passionate when he signed with the Bengals, especially Dexter Lawrence. When he came over here in April and signed with the Bengals, he was very, 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 very passionate about when he signed with the Bengals. When we get into this season, we're going to have a better defense going forward, and we should have a very great offense. But apparently what I've been hearing, our offense isn't looking the greatest. But should we be concerned about that? Absolutely not. If our defense was terrible and as bad as it was last season, and our defense is now outscoring our offense when we have guys like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and healthy Joe Burrow, these guys are probably the most elite guys out there. And quite frankly, if that is what the defense is outscoring, I 100% agree that this is a Super Bowl bound roster. This is a Super Bowl roster. Joe Burrow said that this is the most talented roster we've had since he's been here, and comparing it to his LSU roster. And quite frankly, it is looking great. We're looking great. And the national media is construing and misrepresenting what he's saying again, because the media always hates. The media always tries to make us look bad. Every single season, it has been the media. Every single season, it has been the media. And quite frankly, we're all tired of it. We're all tired of it. And it's gotten to the point where Joe Burrow has came out in press conferences, happened to go, kind of all over the place because he needs to address the media. Because Joe Burrow isn't going anywhere. And in fact, what he meant by it's now or never doesn't mean that if we don't win a Super Bowl this year, he's going to leave. That's ridiculous. But what Joe Burrow actually said was that it's now or never, and the meaning that we have all this talent. And, if we're going to make the Super Bowl, this is the year to do it. And we have seen so much patterns in this offseason, especially with our 2021 roster. If you have Dexter Lawrence on the field with Boye Mafe, and if we sign Landon Robinson with the 53-man roster, we have the biggest chance to win the Super Bowl, especially with them three. Especially how dangerous the guy named Dexter Lawrence has been. He has been absolutely dangerous, especially coming from the O-line. We finally have an O-line. We finally have a defensive line. We finally got a defense. I mean, Dexter Lawrence has been great. Okay, and let me tell you how great. Dexter Lawrence is, okay? On Dexter Lawrence's so-called bad seasons, he gets about 3 tackles. 3 tackles. I think it's 3 tackles. It's probably a lot more than that. Because I don't know the stats off the top of my head. So forgive me about that, guys. I think it's 3. I think it might be. I think it's more than 3 tackles. But this guy is an absolute beast. Especially if we get Landon Robinson out. Especially if we get Landon Robinson out there. So, we have other things that happen during the offseason that makes the Bengals a whole lot better. One, the Seahawks have lost one of their best defenders to the Bengals. That's Boye Mafe. They lost Boye Mafe in free agency. And they go in ahead and sent him to the Bengals or whatever. He went to the Bengals. He chose to sign with the Bengals. And now we have Boye Mafe. He is absolutely elite. He is able to split defenders. He is able to get through that right to that quarterback. What we've seen in quarterback, what the Bengals that I have seen in the preseason, the Bengals that I have seen already, we don't even have our guy out there. Evan McPherson kicked a field goal from the logo, and we're talking about that as our kicker. We have one of the most elite kickers. No one talks about Evan McPherson. Nobody talks about Evan McPherson enough. This guy is one of the most elite kickers in the NFL. He's got a very strong leg. He's got a leg that's stronger than most kickers. Most teams don't really focus on their kicker. But when it comes to the Bengals, we've had Evan McPherson show up for us in the moment. Evan McPherson is the reason why we went to the Super Bowl with that last-minute kick in that Kansas City game that sent us to the Super Bowl, that broke the tie. We went into overtime. Now to fought a whole other quarter if it wasn't for Evan McPherson. Evan McPherson's quick and easy goal. We have seen a kick from Evan McPherson from the logo, okay? We didn't even see that from him last time. Like, we seen a 60-yarder, but the other team called a timeout last season, and we were robbed of history because of that. But what we've seen from Evan McPherson in practice is showing that we have one of the most elite rosters. Not even saying that lightly. As long as Joe Burrow can stay healthy, the sky is the limit with this roster. And let me tell you something. As a Bengals fan, I have a little doubt. I hope Joe Burrow can stay healthy because it is our season. If Joe Burrow can stay healthy, we can win the division. Lamar Jackson is coming off one of his most terrible seasons. The Browns lost Myles Garrett to the Rams. But with Dalton Reisner being re-signed, that's great. Ted Karras, he's a really big guy. He's one of the best. We have one of the best left defensive tackles in the league now. We've got we're in great shapes right now. We're in great shape. And I am hyped for this season. I am ready to go. And I hope Joe Burrow can stay healthy this season. What we've seen out of this Bengals roster, we have seen eliteness. We've seen Joe Burrow throwing stuff that we've seen him do 3 years ago. The Bengals have missed the playoffs for 3 years straight in a row, and this is the year we need to make it. This is the year that we need to make it. We're all tired of seeing it. And if we don't get anywhere this year, and if Joe Burrow gets hurt again this year, we're going to be asking some major questions. Because there is no excuses this year. We went out and got an O-line. We went out and got Dexter Lawrence. We went out and got Boye Mafe. We went out and got proven defensive players this year. There is absolutely no excuses this year. If Joe Burrow gets hurt again, the entire league is going to watch and say, this is no longer an O-line issue. This is a Joe Burrow issue at this point. Okay? He has already been sacked in the preseason by the Lions. And he wasn't hurt. Nor was it even a strong hit. People made a big deal out of it. Big whoop. That was a sticking secondary O-line. That was not even the O-line. Dexter Lawrence wasn't even out there. And in fact, Joe Burrow wasn't even out there yesterday. But what we've seen out of our secondary quarterbacks, in the preseason game, 40-year-old Josh Johnson helped win the Bengals the game. Josh Johnson looked pretty good out there for 40 years old. Then for the second half, we had Sean Clifford, which wasn't as electric and didn't have as big as an impact on the game. What it did, though, was lead the Bengals for the win. What we've seen against the preseason so far has been great. We won 2 of our preseason games. We play the Eagles next week sometime. I'm not sure if it's next week, but I'll find out. The Bengals play the Eagles on Friday. May 28th. I meant August 28th. But, yeah. So, I'm going to sign off here. Thank you guys for watching. That's just my view of the roster. I've heard different takes from different Bengals fans, but ultimately, I don't think the Bengals got fleeced with Dexter Lawrence. I just don't think I don't think so, because look at it this way, okay? We didn't have a great guy at all. We didn't have anybody out there that could play defense. All we had was a couple guys, but they couldn't carry the entire defense on their shoulders. So we went out for Dexter Lawrence, and we got him. People think the Bengals got fleeced, even though they didn't. If anyone got fleeced, it's the Giants. The Giants don't draft that good. Neither do the Bengals, which is why we traded for an established guy in the game. You know, I mean, we draft good sometimes. Like, we drafted Joe Burrow, which led us to the Super Bowl. We drafted Jamar Chase. We've drafted a couple other guys. We drafted, you know, some defensive guys that are probably out there right now. I mean, we got rid of a lot of players. We don't have a lot of people anymore. So, like I said, if you're going to call the Bengals a poverty franchise, at least try to sound convincing. You know what I mean? It's just like, if the Bengals were a poverty franchise, how are they able to afford paying Joe Burrow, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, Jamar Chase, which is pretty high paying as well, T. Higgins, which is also pretty high paying, and then go out and get Dexter Lawrence, which is also high paying, and then go out there and sign Boye Mafe for a 3-year contract? Who's the poverty franchise? Sure, our owner is not the greatest guy in the world. We could use a better owner. But we're not the poverty franchise. People say it, but they don't know. Alright, anyways, guys, peace out.